Welcome everybody to the Nationwide Spotlight live chat. It's presented by Nationwide Insurance. We're here at Richmond International Raceway. We've got the 4 drivers eligible for the Nationwide Dash for Cash. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Reed Sorensen, Josh Wise, and the elder statesman of the group, Elliott Sadler. Well, that would be me. I'm older than you, Elliott, but other than that, you're the elder statesman.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, we're going to take some questions from the fans today and talk a little bit about the Dash for Cash program. I know you guys are all excited about this. Reed, you've been kind of off and running with it, winning the first 2 events and $100,000 with each win in this Dash for Cash. Just talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's a great program that Nationwide Insurance puts up to give 4 drivers 4 times out of this year to have a chance to win $100,000. So for the Nationwide Series, that's a very big deal, and I know that all the drivers like it and appreciate the opportunity to be able to do it. And I do believe this will probably be one of the more exciting out of the first 3. Elliott runs great, and Ricky's been running really good all year. And Josh ran really good at Iowa, so I think this will probably be the most exciting one out of the ones we've had. So looking forward to tonight.
And just to be clear with everybody, it is a race within the race. These guys compete against each other. They're obviously trying to win the race, but in the Dash for Cash, you don't have to win the race until we get to Charlotte. If Reed wins here, that third $100,000, he will be eligible if he wins the race at Charlotte for a cool $1 million. That's pretty neat.
I just want to get through this one first because this is going to be tough. If we can get through this one, that'll be pretty awesome to have that shot. But it's going to be tough tonight. These guys are going to make it hard on me, so we'll see.
Well, let's see what the fans have to ask here. Jay, 3435, asks, he says this is for all drivers. Let's get this thing started off right. Who's going to win the Nationwide Championship this year? Elliott?
I don't know. It's been a good race all year, honestly, between us 3. Seems like nobody can really get a huge lead or a big lead. It seems like every time somebody gets some momentum or some points built up, something happens, whether it's mechanical or pit stops or run out of gas or something that kind of set us all back even again. So, it's going to be tough. We got 8 races left, got a lot of different tracks left. Reed hit on earlier. Ricky and his guys have really been running really well here the last month and have got a lot of momentum right now. And it's our job to play catch up and try to make it hard on those guys and race them hard, all the way to Homestead. So who knows? It's so much up in the air. Nobody's running away with it. I think it's going to be a battle all the way down to Homestead, and I think that's good for racing. That's good for us, our sponsors, but I think it's really good for the fans.
Ricky, of course, you're leading right now in the points. Obviously, that's the position to be in.
It definitely is. Like Elliott was saying, it seems like every time somebody gets in the points lead, you might go a couple weeks with putting yourself a little gap in between the guys behind you, but then something happens. So it's just we just got to stay consistent. Obviously our cars have been really fast the last few weeks and the last couple months. So if we can limit our mistakes, pit road mistakes and things like that, I think we have a shot at it, obviously. But these guys are tough every week, and there's a lot of different tracks that we go to that we're going to have to be fast on, and it's none of us up here are running poorly, and that's the tough part.
We'll go back to the fans there. Tommy Craig too wants to ask all the drivers. Nationwide has obviously added the Dash for Cash program this year. Should the series implement a chase format to increase attendance or popularity with the series? What do you guys think?
I think it's something to definitely look at. I think it would probably need to be structured quite a bit different than where the Sprint Cup Series is, just mainly because the level of competition is a little different and how many cars. Like if you look right now, the people that are in 10th place are pretty far back from us, and it might be a little unfair to give those guys an opportunity to win the championship after falling so far back. So I don't know if there's any way to restructure where there's a smaller chase, maybe with less cars or something like that.
Like 6 drivers, maybe 2 wild cards, something like that?
Something like that. But, it's, when they first did it to the Sprint Cup Series, a lot of people were unsure of it. And I think so far it's ended up pretty good. And, this battle this year has been pretty close all the way throughout the season. So I don't know if it would, work out good or not, but it's definitely something they could probably look at.
What do you think,
I think it's added excitement to the Sprint Cup Series, and the reason, the whole reason why we brought on the chase and being a part of it was the ticket holders at Homestead and Phoenix and Atlanta, and a lot of those 3 or 4 races of the year were going and buying tickets as fans, and it was somebody had a 200 or 300 point lead, and it wasn't really any fun for those guys. It wasn't a lot of new excitement that was going off, and we're always competing with the likes of the NFL and things like that, and they do so well with their playoff system. I think NASCAR implemented a playoff season and a system for that reason. One, to have that excitement, and two, to make sure when we get to the later part of the year, these last a couple races, that those fans and those markets and those areas that buy those tickets have something to cheer for, and that they don't know what's going to happen. It's not like a guy can go out there and ride around and finish 20th every week because he's got a 300 point lead. So I like when they implemented the chase. I'm a chase fan. I think it brings new excitement to it. I think NASCAR's done a great job with this wild card. Every week, we're hardly even talking about who's leading the points anymore in the Sprint Cup Series. You're talking about the wild card, who can get in and who can't, and all these possibilities. So it definitely brings attention to the sport and to that series. I think one day down the road, the Nationwide Series should look at something like that, just to bring that extra attention and value to the last 7 or 8 races of the season, and get more teams, more drivers, more sponsors involved in that chase format. I think it will help teams sell more sponsorship, and I think it'll bring excitement to the racing.
For Josh, the other guys have been up front all season. How amazing would it be for you to win a Dash for Cash deal? That'd be pretty cool.
It'd be crazy, man. I mean, I qualified for this. Iowa was the qualification race or whatever, and I was driving the 7 car for Junior Motorsports, and I've been in and out of that thing throughout the season and in and out of multiple cars. So, this weekend I don't have the pleasure of driving that car. It's a Danica race, so I'm driving for Key Motorsports, and I don't know if I feel like my chances are as good as these guys sitting up here right now, but we're here, and we're going to take a good swing at it.
Well, talk a little bit about the whole Danica situation. It seems like you've handled that very well. For anyone who doesn't know, Josh will not be in that car because Danica Patrick will drive it full time next year. That's the number 7 GoDaddy car for Junior Motorsports. But Josh, I know you've made some comments to David Caravello on our staff for an article he did that I thought were really well said. And how have you handled it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I started with Junior Motorsports in the spring of last year, and at that time I didn't know if I had any more career in NASCAR. I didn't really know what I was going to do with my racing career. So it started off as a 1-race opportunity and grew from there, and it grew into opportunity this year. So it's always really been a positive situation for me, just to know that I'm going to be in the car in 3 weeks or in a month or whatever, because it's better than most of the other opportunities that I get. So I've known all along that we were kind of nurturing that thing along for Danica, and trying to always develop the program for Danica, and everything was always revolving, around what Danica was going to do and everything. So, for me, really, there was no surprise there. There was, I've known all year and since last year that was their big picture plan, So, it's been an awesome opportunity for me, and it's probably created some more opportunities for me, and it's just been really great. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity I had there.
Cool. Jake Beats 24 wants to know, for Elliott, who were your favorite drivers growing up?
My favorite drivers growing up, my dad owned a Chevrolet dealership growing up, so of course when Earnhardt got the GM Goodwrench sponsorship, we were big time Earnhardt fans. I remember when I was 7 years old, I got to meet Cale Yarborough in a parade in my hometown. He was a grand marshal, and he took time to sign an autograph and shake hands. So Cale Yarborough and Dale Earnhardt were my fans. I was big fans of theirs growing up. Really looked up to them, and then honestly got the privilege to meeting Dale on a personal basis, being friends with Dale Jr., and learned a lot about him away from the racetrack. He was an amazing man. What he meant to the sport, and what he brought to the sport, not only on the racetrack but off the racetrack, and how he helped young guys and young kids get into the sport was absolutely amazing. I always tell fans, I wish they could have known the Dale away from the racetrack too. He's a very, very special guy. So they were the 2 guys I looked up to the most when I was growing up.
David iRacing asks for Ricky, as a driver, it's obvious you have improved a lot in the Nationwide Series. After half the season has been completed, where do you think you and your team still need to improve on? Well, we're a little more than halfway, but where do you
We're
feel
a little
like you
past
guys?
halfway, but you know, one of the biggest things is yeah, I feel like some of the racetracks will show up too, and when we're off a little bit, it's tough. Seems like it's a little tough for us to get to where we need to be. I think that's something that I need to work at, telling my crew chief what I need in the car to make it better, and our pit stops, we struggle with those all year, so we're doing some things to get those a little bit better also.
Cool. Back to Elliot, and this is an interesting one. Does Big John bat cleanup on your softball team?
That's a pretty funny question. No, Big John does not bat cleanup. So,
And who is Big John?
Big John's my best friend from home. Who,
Okay.
so that must be a local question, I'm guessing. Who we all play softball about 100 games a year, but he's actually going to be here tonight. He's on the spotters booth always for this race. But no, I don't bat cleanup either. But
Where
no,
do you bat in the order?
I bat 6th in the order. And
Really?
John bats 11th. Big John. So he hadn't made his way up yet. But he's a little rusty. He's just getting back into it. But people in this area, I play a ton of softball. I play on a couple different traveling softball teams and play over 100 games a year. And I actually got to play in an all-day tournament tomorrow. It starts 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but anyway, working on Big John, trying to work on his batting skills a little bit to get him up higher in the lineup.
Well, the team must be loaded if you're batting 6th.
Yes, we are loaded. We got some guys that's all they do is they make a living playing softball. So
Really?
they,
All right,
they,
well,
they hit ahead of me.
No wonder he skipped the skee ball. He was late waiting for a softball home run hitting.
I'm resting
contest.
up today because I got a long
Yeah.
day tomorrow.